absolutely. I mean, the more rich the media environment gets, I think the more important that radio's place is. I suppose the main difference nowadays is everyone has less time and more choice. So actually what you've got to do is make sure that you are a medium that stands out and that people can find time to spend with. So the beauty of radio is I think it's probably one of the only mediums that you can consume whilst doing something else. So the very power of radio is the fact that it's a secondary medium, so most people are engaged in another activity whilst they're doing something else. And that in turn means that ad avoidance is very low, because where you might, for example, traditionally with television, you might fast forward the ads if you're on demand watching now, or might go and make a cup of tea, as people used to do. With radio, you're doing something else, so you don't stop to avoid the adverts, and so you've obviously got less ad avoidance and less clutter because you're not surrounded by other ads as well. And if you count to 30 seconds quite slowly, that's the average amount of time you have to hold that listener's attention. It's actually quite a long time. If you were to sit in silence for 30 seconds, you do actually take a lot of their attention, and as I said, it goes in a very subconscious way. So it's extremely powerful. A number of reasons it works particularly. It's intrusive for all those reasons that I said. People carry that about with them. It's flexible, which is important to a lot of advertisers nowadays, because they have to change their strategies quite quickly. Whether you need to respond to the weather, whether you need to update the lottery users regularly to say there's been a rollover, etc. It might be right. We need to do something. We need to shift a number of cars at the end of the month, so they need to put on a sale. So all of these things we can react to quite quickly, even closing down sales, unfortunately. But people or advertisers are finding perhaps their traditional mediums aren't working as hard as they need to or they used to. So they're trying new things, and that's where radio comes in, and we can move very quickly with them. In terms of the brand relationship as well, the way people consume radio, it's intimate, it's company. I suppose most people, when you think about it, have grown up with a radio station and they view it as a friend. They've got a personal relationship to it, and with all the surrounding social media, now people engage with radio a lot more. They always engage with radio more than other things. I mean, you wouldn't ever really write into a TV station or maybe a magazine, but that was very, very infrequent. With radio, people would write in. They'll write into competitions. They ring in now. They text in. They Twitter, their Facebook, etc. So that relationship becomes very personal and very close. Targeting as well. We can actually be as big or as small as a campaign needs. So. From the radio point of view, we can actually target a certain area of Kent, for example. With Hart, we can target east or west, or we can go sort of network right across the UK with any of the brands. With the 7 brands that we operate. So you can make sure that you're targeting not only geographically but also to the right audience. So if you came to me and said, actually, I need to hit city listeners, affluent, then we talked to you about XFM, for example, in London, but then also we can geographically target through the internet as well, and our online and our websites, and advertise online based on postcodes as well. So it's extremely targeted, and we can make it fit many budgets, and obviously the main thing is actually how do you make sure you're in the marketplace at the right time? Is there any time that a brand doesn't need to be in the marketplace? Not for many. So it's actually looking at the way that radio can deliver a message frequently over a long amount of time, but relatively cheaply. So with a lot of buying decisions, they're perhaps not made very often, so you have to make sure that you're there or thereabouts when that person comes to make that decision. And with the way that you can buy different radio packages or sponsorships, etc., we can make sure that you are in that marketplace for as long as possible. So the more cluttered the media environment gets, the better it is for radio, I think. So it's absolutely a boom period, I think, for radio. It's for all sizes of brands. I mean, we touched upon just now that the way that we can actually target certain areas, target certain audiences. So there's lots of ways you can use radio, and the beauty of radio is it doesn't really have any sort of there's no snobbery in radio. People from all different social demographics will listen to radio. It's not a matter of I only read this newspaper because I'm within this unique sort of reader profile. Actually, it spans lots of different markets and lots of different ideals. With the brands, obviously a lot of brands have become household names, and they are doing great creative across the UK. the beauty of it is you can become a household name just in Kent, and really it doesn't really matter to any of the listeners in Kent whether you're a household name outside of that. So we can make you as big as you want to be, or as small and as local as you want to appear. But if you imagine, I think it's very easy to see the difference between a local advert on television sometimes versus a national one. With radio, I think, have a listen to that, and they would all be of a similar quality, because it's easy to do that. So the biggest benefit, I suppose, that a small business might have versus a national business is we work with creative. When you work with radio creative, you're working with people's imaginations. So actually all the work is done in your head, which means your creative is very cheap. We don't have to go on location to Africa. We just have a few sound effects, for example. And also it means that you can push the boundaries a little bit more. So with radio creative, as I said, if your imagination's doing the work, we don't have to show pictures that might not be allowed in certain ways. If we're actually talking about something which is quite hard hitting, we can let the brain do the work for you. You know, and if we need to get across messages which need to be communicated but people don't want to think about, again, brilliant for radio, because you don't avoid the ads, but you do actually hear the message. You know, if we're talking about symptoms of cancer and things like that, we can get that across through audio or through using people's imaginations. And actually we're not only reaching that person it relates to, we're reaching friends and family as well. So it's really far reaching. You know, on the other side of the coin, if you're a furniture store, for example, you can't show your whole range of stuff. So if you choose a picture or, you know, an image or to feature something in a TV ad, for example, and it's a sofa that I don't like, for me then I've switched off from that brand because I don't think that I like what they offer. If you describe, you know, the range of furniture, or you lead me to envisage my perfect comfortable sofa after a day at work, then I'm imagining the one that I want. The greatest example of that is probably if using voices, we can put on, if you have to write an advert and it's, for example, that must be a sexy young female voice, show the image of someone, and it might not be everyone's cup of tea, give them the audio and they imagine the perfect face. So that works with all the kind of products that you want to communicate. So we can do as much or as little as you want, and everyone that we speak to, we would hope to give them the service which you could expect from any level of spend. It's been very positive, actually. I think what we have to overcome is the fact that we're called radio, so global radio, but actually we do a lot more. So from our point of view, when you're advertising, the more mediums you use, the better it works. But the difference is making sure that the message that you use runs across all mediums. We do like to work with a client to say, let us help you come up with a concept, you know, because if we help you come up with a concept which is going to be the underpinning of all your advertising, if we can make that work on radio, we can be sure it's going to work on every other medium, because radio is the hardest one to make work. What can sometimes happen is somebody comes to us with a concept that they've already used in print, and they either try and make that radio themselves or they ask us to do it, and it's much more difficult that way round. So let us in at the early stages, and it's not a service we charge for, it's something that we want to be involved, because if we get the idea right and then the creative right, then the advertising will work better and you will come back to us. So it's relationship building, and it's just a phrase that we use. It's saying use matching luggage, make sure the message is the same across all mediums. So with the advent of apps and mobile usage, then that's given us more opportunities to get messages out there. So from our point of view, apps, you know, we've got our own for every brand, and we've got, you know, some great sign-ups, great databases that we can use, so we can monetize them. We can put people's brands on the apps. And also we create them ourselves, so you know we're in that business of helping people engage their audiences through the right use of apps, or even creating them a Facebook page. So you know it just gives us more ways to engage with our audience, and you know when as I said before, the amount of extra communication we're able to have with our listeners now, then this fits into that perfectly. It gives us more, and the more we're communicating with them, the more often they engage with us, and the harder your advertising will work. So that's been a brilliant opening for us, and actually, you know, if anyone wants to talk to us, about advertising on the radio, they'll see there's a big old list of things that we do now. So our job really is to be able to talk to people about other things and help them pull all their marketing together rather than going to separate different agencies across, doing different things. It's actually doesn't it make sense if you've got that one story, and that's making sense across all of those brands. So something that we welcome. I think for me, radio is kind of the glue that holds them all together. And in my head, I've got an image of a great chart actually, which brings it to life. But it's looking at, if you imagine the average day, of an average person, very average, I know, but it's actually what happens in their working day and what media do they engage with throughout the day. So you start off at sort of waking up. There's a picture of a radio there usually, and then you've got breakfast time, so there's probably a picture of a radio, maybe some TV and maybe a newspaper, and then you've got travelling to work or school. It's going to be radio, 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 unless you're a commuter maybe, and then newspaper. And then you've got throughout the day, really, television is obviously quite low throughout the day, and that comes into its own in the evenings. So throughout the day, it's radio on at work possibly, lunchtime maybe newspaper or magazine, back to radio in the afternoon, going home, picking up kids, whatever, radio in the car. So actually, if you look at those points where different media kick in, think, right, if I've missed my opportunity with them on one, what is the one that people spend most of their day with? It's radio. So actually, if you're making sure you've got those messages going out, then it kind of glues that whole thing together. Also, like I said, if you've got your matching luggage right, then that will work together. So if you're using the same audio that you're using on television, for example, just a short clip of that on radio, and you replay the television advert in your head. And again, it's using, if you've got a good strong phrase which you're using in print, then use that in radio, and it'll help those all work together and work harder together. But for me, if there's something that connects them all in the cheapest way possible, which is involved in people's lives, that the most prominently, then I'd say it was radio. Of course, I'd say that, but I believe it's radio. Okay, well, that would be our job. That's what we do. So what we like to do is really get involved in other people's brands. So if we go out and talk to them about advertising, about marketing, then we do that having done some research about their industry. And the great thing that we have at our fingertips is a lot of research. And also a lot of staff. So across the UK, it's about 1,500 people working for Global, and that means we have the experience of all those people to draw on. So internally, we have a sort of social media, which we operate internally, and we should share success stories or research, so that we know that even if we haven't got something that springs to mind that we've done here in Kent, that we can find that throughout the group. And a lot of advertisers or potential advertisers will want to see that. They want some sort of commitment that it's going to work, which is very difficult to give in any kind of advertising medium, but it's a question we all come up against again and again. So it's great to be able to give them examples of, this is audio that's been used around the UK, this is a testimonial, this is how many times this client has rebooked, so you can really build up a picture of what they're doing and what's working. So we have a massive basis of experience if you add all that together. But if you actually imagine our daily job is to get listeners, basically, and is to keep listeners and to keep them listening for as long as possible. That's how that's what we monetize, and that's how we survive as a commercial radio station. So we have 7 brands which sort of spans, starting from Choice in London, which is an urban station and really picking up listeners in their teens, right up to probably Classic FM or Gold, which are nationwide stations, and you're talking to listeners 60 plus. Within all of those teams on those brands, we work every day to engage those listeners, and we need to keep them engaged 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, in lots of different ways. So if we've got people within our teams that can engage every type of social and age demographic in the UK, then we've got the expertise. That's what our job is to do, and help lend to your brand as well. So again, the amount of experience and ideas that we've got to tap into, then that makes it it makes it very easy to be able to come come with, you know, with the knowledge of this is what we know about your industry, this is what it tells us that needs to be done at the moment, and here's some examples of how other people are doing it, and this is how we might do it for yours. So hopefully most people find it a really pleasurable experience, and you know, and our ideas come with no commitment. We just love the opportunity to get in front of somebody and say, give us a problem, let us have a go at solving it. And most of the time we do. If we don't, not a problem, we'll try again. You know, and that's what's given us a lot of success here in the Kent marketplace.